What if the strange numbness in your feet, that quiet tingling, or that heavy, almost dead feeling, isn't just something that comes with age? What if it's actually your body trying to tell you something is slipping? Something important. Something that keeps you steady, confident, and independent. Because for many people, it doesn't begin with a fall. It begins much earlier. It begins in silence. You stand up one day, and something feels off. Not painful, just uncertain. You hesitate for a second longer than usual. Maybe you glance down at your feet without even realizing why. Maybe you take that first step a little slower, not because you want to, but because your body isn't giving you the same sense of control it used to. And, over time, that subtle hesitation starts to grow. You begin choosing safer paths, holding onto furniture, avoiding certain movements, not consciously, just naturally, as if your body is quietly adjusting to something it no longer fully trusts. And that's how it happens. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, your world begins to shrink. Many people hear the same explanation. It's neuropathy. You'll have to live with it. But what if that's not the full story? What if the signals in your body aren't gone? Just quieter, not broken, just disconnected, waiting for the right kind of input to wake them back up. Because the truth is, your body is still listening. Your brain is still capable of reconnecting. And your feet, even now, are still capable of sending signals back. The question is, are you giving them a reason to? It starts with something incredibly simple. A chair, a moment of attention, and a small movement that most people overlook. Sit near the edge of your chair. Not leaning back, just upright enough that your body feels awake. Your feet flat on the floor. Your posture steady, but not stiff. Before you move, pause. Notice how you're sitting. Notice your breathing. Notice your feet against the ground. Then slowly lift one knee, just a few inches. Nothing dramatic. Lower it back down. Then lift the other and continue like that. Gently, one side at a time. It may seem almost too simple, but if you slow it down, something interesting begins to happen. You start to feel each movement more clearly. The shift in your weight, the activation in your legs, the rhythm building between one side and the other. And if you let your opposite arm move naturally, just like it would when you walk, something deeper begins to engage. Your body starts remembering a pattern that may have become faint over time. Left leg, right arm, right leg, left arm. This cross-body coordination isn't random. It's one of the most fundamental ways your brain communicates with your body. And when that connection starts to weaken, everything else begins to feel uncertain. So you slow it down. You stay present. You don't rush, because this isn't about speed. It's about clarity. Each lift, each step becomes a message, a signal traveling upward, reminding your brain that your legs are still here, still moving, still capable. And beneath the surface, something else is happening too. Your muscles begin to contract and release. Blood begins to circulate more actively. Areas that may have felt dull or distant start receiving fresh oxygen again. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually, like turning the lights up in a dim room. And maybe, after a few moments, you notice something subtle, a slight warmth, a faint awareness, a sense that your legs feel just a little more there than they did before. That's how it begins, not with intensity, but with attention, not with force, but with consistency. And once that signal starts flowing, you can begin to build on it, because one of the biggest changes that happens over time, often without people realizing it, is how the feet interact with the ground. When you walk, your feet are meant to lift, to respond, to adjust. But when that connection weakens, something else takes over. The feet begin to slide instead of lift. Movements become smaller, less precise. And the brain, receiving less clear information, begins to compensate. That's where uncertainty comes from. So you sit again, feet flat, steady. And this time, you shift your weight slightly. You lift your heels, keeping your toes on the ground, just enough to feel the muscles in your lower legs engage. Hold for a moment, then lower. And now, reverse it. Keep your heels grounded, and gently lift your toes. Feel the front of your lower legs activate. Lower again, and continue, back and forth, heels, then toes, then heels. At first it may feel mechanical, even awkward. But if you slow down and really pay attention, you begin to notice the pressure shifting through your feet, from the back to the front, from the front to the back. Each movement becomes a conversation between your body and the ground, and that conversation matters more than most people realize, because your brain depends on that feedback. It needs to know where you are, how you're moving, what's beneath you, and when that information becomes unclear, balance becomes uncertain, so you give it clarity again. One controlled movement at a time. You don't rush, you let yourself feel it. Because feeling is the point. And as that awareness builds, something else begins to change. The muscles that help lift your feet, the ones that prevent you from catching your toes or misstepping, start to wake up again, quietly, gradually, but noticeably. And that's when you begin to understand something important. This isn't just about movement, it's about communication. Because sometimes the issue isn't just strength, or circulation, or even awareness. Sometimes the signal itself feels stuck, like it's not traveling smoothly, like something along the path is tight, restricted, or simply not moving the way it should. You might feel it as a pulling sensation, a line of tension that travels down the back of your leg, a strange mix of tightness and tingling that doesn't quite stay in one place, and when that happens, your brain receives a distorted message, not clear, not reliable. So you sit again. This time, you gently lift one leg, supporting it with your hands, and slowly you begin to straighten your knee, not all the way, just enough, until you feel a light tension, not pain, just awareness. You pause there, and then, slowly, you return, again and again. Each repetition, gentle, controlled, like you're creating space, like you're allowing something to move more freely, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving the pathway room, and over time, that pathway begins to feel less restricted, less guarded, more responsive. And you start to notice the difference, not instantly, but gradually movements feel smoother, less hesitant, more connected. And then you begin to focus even closer, because deep within your feet, there are small muscles that most people never think about. Tiny, but essential. They help you grip the ground, stabilize your stance, adjust to subtle changes beneath you. But when they stop engaging, even slightly, everything above them is affected. So you bring attention there. You place something simple on the floor, and with your toes, you begin to interact with it, not forcefully, just intentionally spreading, curling, drawing it closer. At first, it may feel unfamiliar, like your toes don't quite remember how to respond. But that's okay, because every attempt, every small movement is a signal, a reminder, a reconnection. And over time, those signals begin to strengthen. Your feet feel more responsive, more alive, more present. And then, finally, you return to something even more fundamental. Stillness, but not passive stillness, intentional stillness. You sit, feet flat, and you simply press them gently into the ground. Not hard, just enough to feel the contact, the pressure, the connection. You hold it, and you pay attention. Where do you feel it most? Heels? Toes? One side more than the other? This awareness, this quiet attention, is one of the most powerful things you can bring back, because balance doesn't begin with movement, it begins with knowing where you are. And when your brain can feel that clearly again, everything else becomes easier. Standing, walking, turning, all of it, more stable, more certain, more yours. And when you step back and look at it, none of these movements are complicated. None of them require special equipment. None of them demand intensity. But together, they create something powerful. They create a system of signals, a way of reminding your body that it's still connected, still capable, still responsive. And over time, those small signals begin to add up. That hesitation when you stand becomes shorter. That uncertainty becomes quieter. That distance between your brain and your feet begins to close. And maybe one day, without even thinking about it, you stand up, and it feels natural again, steady, familiar, like something you didn't even realize you had lost has quietly returned. Not because of one big change, but because of many small ones, repeated consistently patently, because the body doesn't stop adapting. It doesn't stop responding. It simply follows the signals it receives. And when those signals become clear again, so does everything else. So the real question isn't whether change is possible. It's whether you're willing to send the signal, not perfectly, not intensely, but consistently, because sometimes the smallest movements, done with awareness, can create the biggest shifts. And sometimes the difference between feeling uncertain and feeling steady again begins with something as simple as sitting down, lifting one leg, and paying attention.